Oh shit, we made a mistake! Welcome back guys, it's Cameron here. Today in this video, we'll be starting our new Life of Kenshi series based around a new character, Arjun, who finds himself in some dire circumstances. We'll be doing the fallen captain's son background story, which is considered one of the harder playthroughs, and as a heads up, I do not use any save loading in this series, as to give a more natural and flowing experience for the game. So our humble story starts with a Shek named Arjun. Arjun's father was a respected captain in the United States Army. He was killed in action, and after Arjun burned through his meager savings looking for work, he found himself penniless and hungry. With nothing left but his father's trusty katana and the shirt on his back, he began to make his way in the hub. The first thing that Arjun thought was, wow, this place is actually kind of a dump. But Arjun realized, quickly, with 0 cats and only half a bowl of food, that he would have to leave the comfort of the hub and find a way to make his own money. And so he left the city. After a few hours of stumbling around the dusty, hot landscape, he spotted a large, mysterious rock glistening off the glaring sunlight. Naturally, he made his way towards it. And it was an old iron node, actually, and he knew this was his chance to feed himself tonight, so he picked up an old, rusty, abandoned pickaxe lying around and started smashing small pieces of iron from the rock. It was only after the first few strikes that sent jarring shocks up his arms and into his shoulders that he knew that this was not going to be a one-man job. And he started to grow really impatient, so soon after he spotted a horde of ragged men making their way up to the hub. Rags covered pieces of their skin, and Arjun could see from how their ribs jutted and pushed against their chests that they were malnourished. He knew that there would be a desperate mugging soon, but the sense of justice that he inherited from his father propelled Arjun to follow the horde of the people. And almost immediately after he began stalking them, they started attacking some seemingly innocent bone dogs. Arjun knew that he would not be able to tolerate this cruelty, and so he joined the fight. He knew he was outnumbered, he knew he was weaker, but he had faith that his father's sword would bring him to victory. But after almost taking 3 heavy blows to his body, he began to realize the gravity of his mistake, and so he started booking it for the nearest help. And after a bit of fleeing, he spotted a group of hardened men with glistening armor, and this was his chance to bring justice to the men who attacked the bone dogs. And so he sprinted up to them as fast as he could, and they joined the fight actually. Arjun knew he was saved, and so he could finally join the fight to smite his enemies with his newfound courage and his newfound friends. The battle raged on for a few minutes, and Arjun found himself fighting 2 men at once. Their successive blows would stagger him, and before he could recover, they would pounce on him. He needed help, so he tried to get closer to his saviors and hoped that they would assist him in his fight. But alas, they actually ignored him. They ignored his cries for help as they took care of their own wounded. After a quick, sharp pain erupted from his sternum, his legs gave out, and his body dropped to the floor with a heavy thud. The air was colder now, and there was less light in the sky. He could feel a cold, calloused hand wrapping his wounds. It hurt to breathe, so he just laid still and accepted the help. And then he began to hear troubling words. "Say goodbye to your freedom, girl."
Nani? It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
He felt himself being thrown onto somebody's shoulder, and with the sudden shock, he passed out once again. The first thing he felt as he woke up was the cold metal wrapped around his ankles and hands. The next was the pain he felt in his ribs as he tried to take shallow breaths. The final and worst thing he felt was the loss of the familiar tug of his father's katana on his hip. His heart dropped as he realized that his father's katana had been taken from him. And the man carrying him sensed that Arjun had woken up, and the man threw him on the ground. He grunted to Arjun to stand up and walk, and so Arjun found himself walking as a slave with a horde of slavers. After many days of walking the dusty road, with the hot, glaring sun taking the small amount of moisture left on his skin away, and many hours of his fellow slaves harassing him, Ergen lashed out. Even though he was restrained, he began to throw slow and loose punches at the bandits that got him to this predicament. The slavers jeered and laughed at the excitement of two scum of the earth battling it out when they both had already lost everything. But it felt good when Ergen dropped his first opponent, then the second. It gave him a sense of power, and it was at this moment that he realized that he didn't need his father's sword. The only thing he needed was himself and his fists. It wasn't long after Ergen demonstrated his dominance in unspeakable ways that the slaves began to fear him. Some might say that when they all attempted an escape attempt, they weren't trying to free themselves from slavery. They were actually trying to free themselves from Ergen. Suddenly, the escape attempt began. Chaos erupted from around him, and Ergen took advantage of this and started sprinting away. But almost immediately, he knew that his shackles would prevent him from getting far, and so he started trying to pick it. The lock was incredibly rudimentary, and he picked it almost immediately. He knew that it would be trivial for him to escape now. And so, after a couple hundred meters, Ergen lost the last slaver over a sharp hill, and he was free now. He was free to shape his own destiny, and he had just the idea of how to do that. He was going to create a dojo and become the Hokage. Alright guys, so that was the end of the first Kenshi episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please leave a comment, like, and maybe subscribe if you feel like it. If anybody's interested, I'll make more of these, add a longer length, at a probably 10-minute full feature. But that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for watching.